analysis, guys. Shh. This is not a budget, but you can use it in relationship to your budget. The cash flow analysis is that you take, it's like what the presenters were saying yesterday, where you chart everything you spend for, a certain length of time. With the cash flow analysis, you do the same thing. You chart all the money that comes in and all the money that goes out over a certain period of time, usually 30, 60, or 90 days. And you keep track of every penny. If you put a quarter in a gumball machine and buy a piece of gum, you put that on there. I mean, it's literally every single penny. This can be used for a couple reasons. Like, for one, you can see where your money is getting wasted. For two, it can help you to plan your budget more accurately. Three, you can notice that if you're spending more than you're earning, like you're buying a lot on credit maybe, and your cash flow is actually the movement of the money in and out. If you have more money coming in than you have going out, you have a positive cash flow, right? Because you're earning more than you're spending. If you have a negative cash flow, that means you're spending more than you're earning, and that's very bad. That's called living above your means. Anybody ever heard that phrase? Yeah, living above your means, or buying more expensive house and a car than you can afford, to like trying to be more impressive. Yeah, shopping, people that do like a shopping addiction or compulsive shopping, gambling. These are kind of things that fall into that. But if you are spending more than you're earning, or if you're spending exactly what you're earning, like if your cash flow is zero, you're living above your means. Because you should always, like they were saying, you should always have money that you put aside for emergencies or for the future, which of course not everyone does, but that's what you should be doing. Anybody remember how much you should put aside for emergencies? 10%, or 6 to 9 months worth of your income. So like if you have a $3,000 a month income, you should have $18,000 in savings, minimum. For, in case, God forbid, you get laid off or something. Take this off. But all right, so Dave and Joan, they're going to chart their monthly cash flow. Okay, so they're going to do a 30-day or 31-day cash flow, and they're going to create a spreadsheet. They're going to make a list of all of their after-tax income, and for some people that's just one thing, one source of income, but for other people that could be 2 or 3 or 4 different kinds of incomes. Like for me, I have 3 right now sources of income. So you just put all of them in, and then if you receive stock dividends, if you're receiving bank interest every month, that you're like on a savings account, that you know how much the bank interest is going to be, approximately, anything that you're getting monthly. Then you have your fixed expenses. These don't change. So if you're on budget billing for like your electricity or something, this could be counted as a fixed expense. If it's a normal electric bill that goes up and down every month because of your usage, that would not be a fixed expense. Does that make sense? So fixed expenses are the same every month. So rent is the same every month. A mortgage is the same every month. Your car payment, your car insurance, these are the same every month. So those are your fixed expenses. So that goes in another category. And then variable expenses change. And when you're doing the cash flow analysis, when you first set it up, you put in like the approximate on those. Like if you know your electricity changes every month, but it's usually around, let's say 130, you'd put 130 in. And then when you get the actual bill and it's 138.50, you take that 130 out and put the actual amount in. So you're keeping track of everything. And then you put in there your savings. And then all of those little trips to the store, the gas station. Oh, I forgot I needed milk, and so you go buy milk, or like you said, you put some money in the gum machine and stuff. Those go under miscellaneous when you're doing a cash flow analysis. You really want to get down to the penny, because if you actually track every dime you spend over the period of a month, you'll be amazed at how much of it you waste. Yeah. Yeah, I have kids. They do. Little stuff. And it's little. It's like it's $1 here. Yeah, it's tiny, so it's like you don't even think about it. But over the course of a month, you've got a couple $100 that are just gone. Okay, this is their cash flow that they made. Guys, this is their 1 month, okay? From income, they have 5,600 in one income and 500 in another. Their rent is, or mortgage is 2,400. They've got the car loan, which is really cheap actually at 200. They have a student loan, personal loan, health insurance, car insurance, homeowners insurance, renters insurance. Now, for renters insurance, that actually is a little high. You can get renters insurance for around $30 a month. But for health insurance, that's probably a little low for the month, unless that's how much they're paying on top of what their employer pays or something. You've got groceries now. Look how much they're spending on groceries. $800. That's 2 people. Yes. Yeah. Okay, remember I told you guys need to have a minimum of $200 per person, right? That's a minimum. So they're spending $800 a month on food. They're spending $150 a month dining out. This is one of those areas where you can cut spending by not dining out, obviously. They've got their gas, their cell phone, electricity, water, entertainment. That electricity is way lower than your electricity is going to be. This is an older book, so these are older rates. Entertainment, that's another place where you can cut things if you need to reduce your budget. They've got their savings. As you can see, their savings is about 10% of their income. They've got debt reduction, which means they're paying out an extra $160 towards their debt every month to pay it down faster, like on top of their debt. Then they have medical, dental, auto-related and everything. These are non-monthly expenses. These are annual, and so they take the annual expenses, they add them all up, and then they divide them by 12 to put them into the monthly. And you'd want to do that with your cash flow analysis. If you pay your car insurance every 6 months, you divide it by 6 and put that into your monthly cash flow. Okay, so their current monthly cash flow is 110. That's positive. That means that they're bringing in more money than they're putting out, and so that extra $110, they're already putting $300 in savings. They could take that extra $110. They could put that in savings. They could invest that in a money market account. They could decide that they want to put it in a vacation fund or spend it on something nice, whatever. But they've already got a savings. If they did not already have a savings, they'd want that extra cash flow to go into savings, which they can decide to put it into savings as well. Okay. So basically, the project format, like I said, you can use any budget template that you find online. The summary, you need to, hold on, let me pause this. So when you get your paycheck, you get it in cash, and you split it up into the different envelopes. So you'll have like one envelope for rent. And this works out well if like you get paid every other week or twice a month, and you can break your rent into 2 paychecks this way. So the first paycheck you put it in the envelope, the second paycheck you put it in the envelope, you've got rent. So that's kind of nice, and you don't have to worry about making sure you don't spend it because it's in the rent envelope and you just don't touch that one. You'll have an envelope for electricity, an envelope for groceries, an envelope for water, cell phone, internet, just an envelope for everything. And you have your envelope for whatever, entertainment or day-to-day spending money. Just this is my envelope for spending on whatever. The envelope system will work well if you are disciplined. Because as soon as the money in that envelope, like if this is my spend it on whatever money, as soon as that money is gone, it's got to be gone. You can't go into another envelope and say, well, I'll just borrow this out of here and put it back later. That doesn't work. Like so the envelope system can work well for some people. It does not work so well for others. Then you have your frequency budget plan, which we're going to look at on the next slide. But you list expenses annual, monthly, and weekly. And we'll talk about that on the next slide when we look at it. And then you have your year-long expense budget. You chart all of your expenses across the whole year. So you list January through December across like the top. And down the side, you have all the different expenses, rent, electricity, food, and then like car insurance is every 6 months or whatever. And you list it on the months that they come. We looked at those in the budget charts where we had that, where the money was split on the, hold on. Oh, I deleted it. But it was like these, remember those from the last section where you had the different categories and then across you had the money amounts? This is a really accurate one because you have the whole year at once. And you can see which months are the most expensive, and you can figure out how to break that expense up over the other months so that it makes it even throughout the year. So these are the most accurate, the year-long expense budget plan. They're also the most difficult for people to do and stick to because you're looking at a whole year at a time, and in general, people are not that great at planning that far ahead. For example, if you know that your car insurance is due in September and you've been trying to put away for it, but oh, you just got invited to a beach weekend and it's June, it's really hard to stick to the I'm putting away this money for the car insurance. So, that's difficult to keep track of. Okay, so we're going to create their frequency budget plan, and I'll go back and forth. We have income monthly. Okay, so we have $5,600, right? It happens 12 times a year. And so the annual amount is going to be $67,200. And then with their secondary income, $500. It comes 12 times a year. So that's going to be $6,000. Okay. They don't have interest or dividends that have been listed, so their total income is $73,200. Okay. Now, monthly, they said they were spending $800 on food. So we're going to split that into a weekly expense. So we take that $800 a month and we divide it by 4, so they're spending $200 a month on food.
It's above table 2.
So they're spending $10,400.
No, I can find that. Yeah, I know where it is.
All right, they're spending $800 a month on food, right? Which if you multiply that by 12, that is $9,600. But we want to divide that by 52 weeks. So it's $185 a week, roughly. Okay, public transportation, it ends up being $37 a week times 52 weeks, which gives them $1,924 a year. Or sorry, personal transportation. Yeah, that's their gas money. Okay, they're not doing public transportation. They didn't have household expenses listed. They don't have any kids. but they do go out to eat, and they were averaging $35 a week on that. So $1,820 a year they spend going out to dinner. Entertainment, they had that listed, I believe, at $200 a month. Yeah, $200 a month. But if you take that out to the week, it's $46 a week. So they're spending $2,392 a year on being entertained. Their total weekly expenses for the year are $15,756. Now their mortgage and these things that are monthly expenses, $2,400 a month on a mortgage. They're spending $28,800 a year on their mortgage. $110 a month on utilities. Their phone was $120 a month. Okay. Their car loan is $200 a month. Their education loan was $150 a month. Their personal loan is $80 a month. Car insurance, that's too cheap, but $60 a month. Homeowners is $50. Their savings, now this is good. They're putting away $300 a month, which means they're putting away $3,600 a year. And then that's going to build interest. It's going to get interest on top of the interest, with compounding, and so that's going to build really fast. Their debt reduction is $1,920 a year, and that's really good because they're paying that much extra on reducing their debt, which means there's that much less interest they're going to pay. So that's really good. And then there was that other, I have no idea what that is. They didn't want to say. So they're spending $44,000 a year on monthly expenses. Okay. And then they're making $73,000 a year. So they had medical, dental. They had auto-related. I have no idea what that is for them, but home-related. Life insurance. Tuition, they're spending $1,500 a year on. Vacation, they're spending $1,200 a year on. That's actually a pretty cheap vacation. Gifts, they must not know a lot of people. Contributions, maybe not. Don't know. Never been on one. And then they spend $2,000 on taxes. Now, their frequency expenses end up being $12,000 there. Then their total expenses are $71,916. That means they have $1,284 left at the end of the year. This is a positive cash flow. Now, this cash flow analysis, this other, that could be that $50 that we were talking about that you nickel and dime yourself with. I'm not sure where they put that in this example, but in your, if you were making your cash flow, you'd want to keep track of that. And I would recommend keeping track of it in detail, not just putting down like $60, but putting down, $20 at Starbucks and $15 on snacks in the vending machine, and just and keep track of it so you know exactly where the money's going, and then you can decide where you want to reduce it. Or if you don't care, you don't have to reduce it. That's your choice. It's your budget. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and fill this out, but you guys should have it already in your notes except for Madison because you got the new ones. So we're going to fill this out really quickly, and just so, I'm not even going to fill out all the months. I'm going to fill out the first couple months so you can kind of see what it should look like. And we'll come back with it. This is the annual one. I put the arrows across, but if you were doing this on the computer, you just copy and paste it across, so you'd have the actual amounts all the way across. But you can see the months that are going to be more expensive. So if you look, for example, in September, you've got this $2,000 for taxes and this extra $150 for life insurance. In February, you've got the $2,000 for taxes and $200 for gifts. So these months with these extra expenses, $700 here for repairs, things like that, when you're creating your budget, you're going to want to spread those out. But this lets you know which months are going to be the most expensive so that you can, preemptively prepare for them. Does that make sense?
I wouldn't even say for gifts because my friendship is the only gift they need.
What about your family? Oh, the other thing. Okay, car insurance. Usually you pay it every 6 or 12 months, like whether you buy a 6-month policy or a 12-month policy. The car insurance companies, Geico, Progressive, everybody, they'll let you pay it monthly. Do you know that they charge you for that? Extra. So if you can save up the 6-month or 12-month premium and pay it all in one chunk, you're saving probably around $100. No, car insurance. Because if you pay your car insurance monthly, they charge you a fee for paying it monthly instead of paying it all at once, like at the 6-month block. So you actually save money if you plan ahead of time, save up the money for the car insurance, and then pay it all at once.
Do you know the average that they add on?
It depends on the company, but it's usually anywhere from 3 to 10% at least.
When I was shopping.
Net worth is the difference between what you own and what you owe. You would like your net worth to be positive. You do not want your net worth to be negative. Okay, assets and liabilities. Liabilities are what you owe. Assets are what you own that has value. So for example, the clothes on my back are not an asset. Once I bought them and wore them, they no longer had value to anybody other than me. Okay? So basically, an asset is something that is sellable. Yeah, no, I can't. Okay, so if you want to figure out your net worth, you take all of your assets and you add them together. And your total of your assets is going to be, if you're Liam, $673,180. And then you take all of your liabilities and you add those together. $240,580. And you subtract them. And Liam's net worth is, oh, I wrote down the wrong number there. I'm sorry. That's the wrong number there. Guys, shh. Okay, his liabilities are $432,600, which makes his net worth $240,580. Last year it was $205,780, so his net worth has increased $34,000. Okay. This is already in your notes, but remember our debt to income ratio is debt divided by income. And you want this to be below 20%, 15% is recommended. Okay, debt. We'll total this up. And his total debt is $3,400. And income, we're going to total that up, and his income is $8,300. And so his debt to income ratio is 3,400 divided by 8,300, which is 0.405, which is 40.5%. This is not good. That is too high. For a loan, do you guys remember from last chapter they wanted it to be less than? 36. That's this one, debt to income. They want it to be less than 36% to qualify you for a loan. So he's too high. Yeah, he's not going to qualify. Okay, for your homework for the rest of the packet, odd problems.